And the show has begun. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tech Down Over. I'm the up over here guy, and Jeff over there is the down under guy. If you can figure that out, you are a winner. Trust us. It's people just keep asking who's the down and who's the it's not that hard. Down under, Australia. Up over here, Southern California. Here's our intro. Maybe it'll explain it. Now you know. It's all easy now. Anyway, I turned off notifications on Skype and I'm hearing them again.
Yes, I just heard that.
I heard that too, and that's on Skype and it was off. All notifications are off. I don't know sometimes what Skype does.
I think it has a mind of its own.
It does. It says, no, you must get notifications.
Now, with you starting with that, Rick, were you saying with Skype, one of the things I've been seeing in the tech news this week was a new version of Skype that will be web-based, that won't be just a program anymore. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's going to do to us or anybody. Interesting. It's going to be interesting. So, that makes sense, I guess, in some respects. But on the other hand, that means they can change Skype on you any moment of any day. That scares me.
Well, and what they were saying as well, as I said, at the moment, it will be available for Mac and Windows, but it will still have to have, a plug-in to use the video part of it.
Oh, interesting.
But I'm just not too sure what the advantages are for that. But there must be. I think for
them there's a major advantage, and that's the fact that they can now control when you update. They can control everything at that point. And that's a little scary sometimes, because that means they now will tell you, hey, here's your new version, like it or not. And you can have, there may be some other browser issues or whatever else, not many, but you will have to allow the browser to do the video. And you're going to have to learn, and it's not hard, you just hit F11 or F12 to go into full screen mode on the browser if you do video.
Well, I don't know about you, but with the last few updates of Skype, I don't have auto update on, but I just switched on one day and it was changed. And it updated itself anyway. So
that's funny because that happened to me too. I have the auto update off, and I had a new version, and it was quite different. I went, oh no, here we go again. And it's dumb things. Why do you move a control from the bottom to the top when it really makes no difference where it was? It was already there. So, things like the maximize screen was on the bottom. Now it's on the top. Why? I don't know. There's just no reason to do that. Little things like that. That's Skype. And Skype is amazing if you think about it. But they're also Microsoft now. I don't hate Microsoft. I don't particularly like Microsoft. I don't think they're any worse or better than Apple. I just think that when the large vendors take control of everything, it's not necessarily a good thing. I think it stifles competition. To this day, there's really no good Skype replacement.
Well, with this being the web-based, is that similar to Google Hangouts? I've never really used them. I really should have a go at that. But would that make it similar to the Google Hangouts?
It could. And the Google Hangouts, from what I heard, are using Wirecast Lite. It's a light technology or a version of Wirecast, or a heavily modified version. So I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard from people before. And that makes sense, because it's sort of similar in the way it does certain things. But there's a lot of problems people have with Hangouts, but not the video part of it. I think the problems with Hangouts are the way Google made it much more difficult than it needs to be, just to log into a Hangout. I've been on enough of them where it's half the pain is getting in, and then once you're in, life is good, but getting in isn't always what you expect.
Well, I think I'll have to try that out one day just to see what the advantages are of that, and how many people you can get in before you break the system.
10. The number's 10.
10. Is it you've tried that?
I think Gina Schreck did once. They broke the internet at about 10. So then they were trying Google Hangouts when they first came out, and 10 broke it.
Oh, okay.
So. Yeah.
Well, I suppose really it would be very hard to handle any more than 10 really if you're
Right.
really interacting with them. If you're not, you're probably better off just having a webinar and having one or two people on camera.
That's
you really
true.
don't need 10, I don't think.
No, that's true.
Also, as well, this week I just saw with the I thought they'd gone all together as far as products, but earlier on in the week, Nokia had a teaser advert with just showing you a little black box that you could buy, and it looked like that the Nokia was doing like an Apple TV type streaming thing, and everybody thought it was, but then they came out later in the week. It's like the iPad Mini.
Oh, interesting.
It looks like an iPad Mini. It feels like an iPad Mini, but it's one running on Lollipop. So
Lollipop.
that's
Well, you know, it's interesting because from what I've heard, the nickname for Nokia is really Nokera. I don't know if anybody cares anymore about Nokia. They've had their heyday. They did really well for a while. They got acquired by Microsoft. That's not necessarily a good thing. They've killed a lot of good products. And really, maybe they'll have to go back to their original origins and flush phones down the toilet because they were originally a toilet paper manufacturer, which is sort of an interesting aside.
How they've changed, because as you said, I think nearly anybody around our age, you said nearly everybody would have had a Nokia phone.
Yeah, I had one.
Who didn't when in the early days.
Yeah, I had a couple of them.
Yeah, and as I said, and they were the first ones who did one like the Note 4, a huge one with a keypad. You could get internet access, but as we said the other week, it cost you $500 a minute to access the internet at that stage. So, of course, it didn't go anywhere.
Now it's interesting because I have seen the Windows tablet or phablet. It's probably about a 6-inch phablet, maybe a little bit bigger. It's actually quite lovely, and I believe it's made by Nokia. It has a beautiful screen. It has a nice feel to it. I was at the Windows, not store, but what do they call those? It's like the little places in a mall. It's a kiosk. It's a Windows kiosk.
Windows kiosk.
And I was going, wow, I really like this. This has a great screen. It was zippy. It was fast. It only had one issue. It was a Windows phone. And I don't want a Windows phone. I had one. I did not like it. It wasn't very good. It was okay in terms of apps. There weren't a heck of a lot of apps. But as a phone, it was a crummy phone. It just had very bad interface, little teeny weeny buttons. It was sort of useless. And the reception wasn't that good on it. The Windows 8 look was okay on the phone. That didn't bother me. It had the Metro interface. It worked okay. Did I like it? I don't know. I probably like it better than the iPhone look to a certain point, but I didn't really care for the phone. I still have it. It's so worthless. Even Verizon wouldn't take it back. They take back every phone you ever had, not that one.
Leave is mentioning in the chat pod about the Adobe apps for the iPad and how much she does like them. So
now there are a lot of new apps. I haven't really downloaded all the new apps. Have you, Jeff?
Not really. No, I haven't had a look into them. I've been too busy playing with them and doing them on the normal Mac side rather than the app side. The only one I did do was for the Photoshop, but I mean, everybody seems to be getting into that to integrate it more with the iPad. Even Microsoft are putting versions of Office for the for iPad, which makes it different. That everybody's got to be in it to have some sort of view on the iPad. So, but it is. Lever was saying there's not much support for Windows phones, and but I suppose it's one of the earlier ones. Like Android's got a much bigger support range, but the big difference between Windows and Android is just really the software available for them. Because let's face it, they all just do the same for doing texts and making calls and doing all that. It's all we really don't care about how they make a phone call. It's how they
all the fun stuff they do
on it.
Yep.
I was finding with my, as I said, I've switched to my phone from an iPhone to an Android phone. But just a few little things that I like better on that, like when I phone somebody on the Note 4, it shows me right on the screen straight the history last time I phoned them, but how the last text I sent them as well, and all the interactions with them. I thought, gee, that was really good. So you don't have you've got everything up on the screen that you need to do.
But I'll tell you, Jeff, the default dialer that comes with the Note 4 sucks. Get exDialer, exDialer. Much, much better. It's got better contacts, better phone, much more history. It's just a really cool phone app.
I've got to start doing some more things like that because I'm still in the still think on the Apple side of it and thinking, well, you can't do things like get a new keyboard.
There's about
I've got to
50.
get used to. You can do a lot of
There's keyboards. There's all sorts of stuff you can buy for, and some of them are free. But then you can also go pro versions on some of them, and they're really good. That exDialer is wonderful. In fact, I can probably show it to you right now just to give you an idea what it looks like. So if I get into, and by the way, I love the Note 4.
Yes, I quite like it. So.
You were right. Now, this is my exDialer. It's, first of all, it's a dark interface. I don't know if you can see it right there without the light hitting it. There we go. It's a dark dialer, but you can also have a light dialer. You can have any color you want. They give you choices. They have themes and templates. It's got the history on top of all the calls, the contacts, favorites, everything else, but it's modifiable 1,000 ways. It's got a lot of different customization. I prefer a dark dialer, and you can change the size of the numbers, the size of the letters, everything. You can't do that on the Samsung native. In fact, you can't do anything with it. It has almost no settings. So I've got about 4 dialers, and this is my favorite, the exDialer, exDialer.
I can just see that. It looks quite nice and clean.
It's very clean.
Setting on that.
And you can put it into day mode, night mode. You can do dark theme, light theme. Mm-hmm. You can change, like I said, text size. You can change the little alphabet size. You can turn off the alphabet if you don't want to see it. You can make it wider or taller on the screen. So if you want your whole screen covered by numbers, you can do that. Now, that's cool. You can't do that with the Samsung. And the Samsung's white with gray letters. It's horrible. I don't know what they were thinking. It's just like, and it's even worse. It's actually better than the iPhone one, which is unreadable, literally, when you go on sunlight.
And also, as well, with that, it's one of probably the first phone I've had for ages that I can still make a call or read text messages without my glasses on because you can expand it, but not to huge size. But it is just quite a lot easier. Whereas now iPhone, I can expand the size, but not to the big enough size to see it without glasses on.
Now this is even better. If you like to text, this is much better. This is so much better than what iPhone and iOS has. Now,
Rick, on the Note 4, you've got a pen on there as well. So
yes,
it's quite a good feel. Is it pressure sensitive on there?
It is sure. on the Note. Yeah, it is. It's the Wacom. It's a Wacom.
Oh, it is, because I know Liv was just saying
I think I heard it has
somebody has a pressure-sensitive stylus for the iPad now. So
they do, but I don't know how good it is because the iPad screen is different. And all the ones I ever saw for the iPad were very soft-tipped, so I'm not sure if they've done anything different. I don't think they have. But this one has something like 2,000 pressure points, so that's quite a bit. But it's Wacom, and the new Note 4 had better ones. But this is Chomp SMS, Chomp Message, CHOMP. It is customizable another 1,000 ways. You can make your text bigger, smaller, different colors, any color you want for your conversations. Let me see if I have anything of worth here. Like, for example, I chose those colors only because I found them very readable. And that's just a message, a notifier saying I have an appointment here, I have an appointment there. Let's see. I don't have too much on this right now. But you can see just the conversation, the colors. Mine's white. The person coming in is reddish or kind of a fuchsia kind of color.
Yes, I see that now. I can see that you've got the reddish background on it. Looks good.
It's very readable. And you can change it to any color, any choice, any font, any size you want. Again, the standard one that comes with it's a little bit hard to read. This one is so easy because you can make it the way you want it.
And that's the thing is with the Android, they are a bit more customizable to what you want. You just don't have to put up with the standard that you do get with like the Apple and that. But then again, the Apple's great for some people. They said what I did enjoy with the Apple is I don't need to change anything because I just accept that and just do what I need to do on that. But they both have their place in the world,
right?
And they were saying with the the sales for the iPhone 6 Plus are not as good as the 6.
Right.
But really, I don't know how they can tell that because I was looking for one since the launch, and most people still can't get them.
But I
So you
think that
can't say
may
they're
be
not selling much if you can't buy
that
one.
may be in Australia, but I think here the 6 Plus it's sold, but it hasn't sold that well. There's inventory. You can go to the store and find inventory. When you can find that much inventory a month into it, it's okay. And the Note 4 is good competition on it, and people are buying the Note 4. I talked to Verizon. They said they're selling more, at least where we are, they were selling more Note 4s than they were iPhones.
And I think that one of the advantages with the Note 4, it's the same size as the iPad 6 Plus, but it still has a slightly bigger screen. It's 5.7, isn't it, as opposed to 5.5 inch
That's correct.
screen?
The Note 4 is still a little bit larger, 5.7 versus 5.5,
Yeah, but
I think.
the actual physical size of it is exactly the same
Yes.
dimensions, I think,
Yes.
as the as the iPhone Plus on there.
Yeah, except that the Note 4 battery lasts you a whole full day.
Now, did you see on the news this week that in New York they're looking at replacing all the payphones? Did you see that?
What are they going to replace them with?
Well, what they're going to do is quite interesting. It sounds like quite a good one, but I just want to ask your opinion on this. But they're going to rip them all out and put in like these poles with a screen, like an internet kiosk type thing. On there, it'll have information, but we'll have free Wi-Fi going round there. So people living close by will have free Wi-Fi.
Well, what's interesting about that is Wi-Fi in New York is notoriously bad because they have 20 million people. There's not enough Wi-Fi to go around. So if you go to Manhattan, I heard it's really slow in many, many places. So I don't know. I think the only reason they're probably doing it is so they can just put more political commercials on your phone. That's the only thing. Because New York is so badly run. Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but anywhere like here, if you've got a public phone, it just says a public phone says to anybody, "Come and break me."
Yes.
That's what it's meant. And
they do. And if you have a monitor on it, that monitor is going to be broken in days.
Yeah, that's right. So I just thought I'm not too sure how that would. And Lever's saying like most payphones are gone there as well. And I just heard the other day, I wasn't too sure, didn't know they did that, but most payphones are just mobile phones, but look like a normal payphone.
Oh, I believe it.
I didn't realize that. They said they're not connected to the.
No, they changed it.
It's just a mobile phone, but it's got this big clunky thing. You put your quarters in, and it just works the same way. But it is a cell phone.
Yeah, it just changed. It's just that a lot of that stuff changed a long time ago. At home we don't have a landline anymore. We have a mobile, basically it's a wired internet phone.
Oh, okay.
So it changed. They said, no, we're going to put you on the wired network. We don't want you wired anymore. Now you're going to be on the normal Verizon network. So they changed this, and it was okay. I can't really tell much of a difference. Connection sometimes is a little slower. That's about it. But I don't know, if the whole internet goes down, you don't have a phone anyway. Maybe that's the whole idea.
Well, that's the problem we've had here, and there's been a couple of court cases here where the carrier's been sued because the internet's gone down. And there's been an emergency.
Right.
And normal phone lines, if the power's down, it doesn't matter. They run off a separate thing. But if the power's down, you've got no phone.
No. But of course, you know what? When you sign the contract, it says, acts of God and nature are not covered.
But I think they went on the premise that it's everybody's right to have, where
No. It's everybody's privilege, not right.
Privilege.
That's where they get confused.
To have that.
Yeah.
Like I've got a couple of phones in this, and I disconnected one line, and I don't pay anything, but it's still got a line there that I can press what you call 911, but we call 000. I can still dial that emergency because they're too scared to do it. I'm not paying anything, but I can still make an emergency call on that landline.
Sure.
That's good. So I thought I'll leave that there. That's great to have.
Yeah.
Now, Rick, we're saying with we're going back to the Note 4 that we've got on there, with all the hype of going around, see this week that they've released the developer kit for the iPhone to do for the watch, I should say. What's your take on the Android Wear for the Note 4, the watch? Have you been interested in that or not?
No, I have almost no interest in it. One, to have the watch as a Bluetooth device, you'd have to talk into it or connect something to it. It's a small 1.5-inch screen or something like that. It's not very big. It doesn't look that nice. I've seen them in the store, and I'm just not impressed. And I think, again, when you have a phone in your pocket that's already there, why do you need another one? Or, I have a phone in my I have it on a belt clip, and why do I need a watch to talk to the phone?
Yeah,
I think it's a bit much.
I'm a bit the same. I'm interested to see. I like to see all little new technology, but I just can't see why I'd be paying $400 to $500 to $600 for something that I can buy a normal watch. I mean, normal watch is gone,
right?
But that will run for the next 5 years without any intervention apart from
That's true.
daylight saving
That's true.
time or whatever.
And the real watches look a whole lot better. If you want to get a Movado, get a just about anything. You can find better watches, Seiko, Rolex, whatever you want. They're just going to look nicer, and they'll probably run better. And I don't know how much people really want digital watches. They may or may not be able to read outside.
No, well, we've gone past that. Back in the 80s, we had digital watches that
and they're all gone.
LED,
Yep.
not LED, just that you couldn't see it all in the daylight.
No, and they're all gone.
They're all gone.
They're all gone. The only thing they did was
analog.
irritate people in movie theaters.
Well, that's right, yeah, because every time it came on there as well.
Yep.
But I'm pretty much the same thing. I think I can't see really the big advantage for the expense. And like you pay $600 for a watch, for the Android watch or the iPhone watch, and then in about 6 months it's worth $2. But if you buy a $600 watch, in probably about 10 years you might still get a couple of. It's still worth something.
Right,
it's not
right.
not worthless in a few months and that. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see what they come out with and when. And
well, also it's not cheap. You're talking $500 for one of these things. The Apple one I think is going to be about $500, and the Gear for Samsung is I think $300 with contract.
Yeah, and because the phone for like the Apple is they're $350 but that's starting range, and starting range means with all the things that you don't want, and when you buy the things that you do want, they said the minimum charge you're up to about $500.
Yeah, plus that's a contract.
Oh, is it a contract?
I believe it's a contract. I may be wrong, but I thought it was going to be a contract.
One of the things that we're saying different with the Android to the Apple, I believe, though, that they will be able to. With the Android one, you will be able to leave your phone at home. So if you've left it, you can still make calls from your watch.
Okay.
Which you have to have the iPhone to do theirs.
Well, from what I read, the iPhone only has about a 3-hour time on that watch. You have to charge it twice a day to get any use out of it. So that's not going to go too well with people.
Well, they are claiming once a day, but yeah, it's very hard to know with all the interaction. And how's it going to work? Is it going to show you something on the screen all the time? Because people want an analog showing on all the time.
Right, I don't know.
Well, it's not, and you don't want a black screen, or else, well, that goes back to the 80s days where you had to press a button to see the time again. So
yeah, and so it's gonna be interesting. I'm not excited by it.
Me neither, but it's
even Samsung came out with that Edge, so that, for example, if you have a Samsung phone on the Edge, you could see your text message. Anybody over 40 is going to go, I can't see my text message about this close. So that kills the over 40 market. And if it's down on your belt somewhere, you're not going to be able to read it that far. And it's very thin. And you have to be careful now how you hold it. So I don't know. I don't think the Edge is going to be that big a deal. I don't think the sales have been that high on it.
And well, there was talk about that the other day, that it just looks like they've got the Note 4 and just stretched out the screen and bent it over a little bit more, and now it's called the Edge. Lev is saying in the chat room that they sold the Samsung Gear in Belgium for €200.
That's expensive.
No contract, but they said they don't usually get those sort of things there, she was saying.
Okay.
So that's interesting.
Now, did you ever see it in person?
I don't know. Did you ever see the phone lever? Well, to see how.
Because when I saw it, it looked nice, but no big deal, and it was thick. Now the new one is thinner, but it still doesn't really look. I don't know. It still looks kind of rubbery, plastic. I don't know. It did look kind of cheap.
And as I said, I can still buy for $100 buy a really, well, I was said with that, but for the watch. Yeah, as I said, it's not sort of the thing I'm going to go for anyway.
Now, in the future, we have to take a look. Keep an eye open for Lenovo. Lenovo just bought Motorola from Google, but also Lenovo is the world's second largest phone maker, which nobody knows out here, at least in the U.S. They're very big, and from what I heard, they're big in Australia, all over Asia, all over Europe, but they're not big here in the U.S., and that's going to change, they said, in the near future. But they make very successful phones. They're also, I think, one of the second largest PC manufacturers, though. So they've really grown. They're growing, and they're growing more and more as we go. Keep an eye on them. That's not a small company. And Lenovo's huge.
Well, you sure that's what we talked about the other week? Lenovo's launched their phone, and it looks exactly like an iPhone.
Yes.
And if you match up the advert with the Apple, it looks like the same advert, just inserted the Lenovo phone. But it looks like a damn good phone, though.
It does, and they said that they have very good engineering and they make good stuff. So that's a company to keep an eye out in the future as they expand more into markets that they really haven't emerged in, like the U.S. So that's good. I mean, they have notebooks out here and some PCs, but they're not known for cell phones. So it'll be interesting.
And Leva's saying she loves her Lenovo laptop, but I do like their laptops too. They do make a nice laptop as well.
Yeah, for those who don't know, those are the old IBM ThinkPads.
I was just going to say, when IBM did it over to Lenovo, they seemed to really spur it on a little bit there, didn't it? Once they handed it over to them, or they bought it.
Yeah, they bought it and did a good job. And they bought it for a song too. They got, I think we talked about it last week, they got Motorola for a song, like $2 billion versus the, I think, 8 that Google paid, or 8 or 10. Google took a dump on that one. It was bad. It wasn't a good sale at all. And not quite sure why they really wanted to sell it, other than they probably were not getting a lot of sales out of it because, and it caused conflict with other vendors.
Well, that's what somebody said. Is said it's very unusual to have somebody be the owner of a phone company and also a supplier of a service,
which is why Microsoft has not really grown in that area.
Because they're sort of the own. We've got to have somebody else doing it that can do it more aggressively, I think. Anyway. Yep. But Rick, so this week you've been playing a lot with the vMix software that comes from down here in Australia. So, you want to talk a little bit about that?
vMix is video mixing software. So in essence, it does what Wirecast does, which is what we're using right now. It does what VidBlaster does, though it does it better. VidBlaster doesn't have the network connections that vMix or Wirecast has. It also does it, probably in my book, better than what the TriCaster does from NewTek. It's a software-based video switcher, but of course, all video switchers are software-based. Whenever anybody says we're not software-based, sorry, everything's software-based. They may have hardware attached to it, but they're software-based. vMix also has something called vMix Go, and that is about a $10,000 portable studio, and it's actually quite nice. It allows you to do 4 SDI inputs and I think 4 outputs. SDI serial digital interchange. It's a small coax kind of cable. And they also allow you to, it has a built-in, I think, 24 or 27-inch monitor as part of the cover. 4 XLR inputs. So this is a full-blown, on-the-road video streaming, recording, and exporting solution. That's really pretty cool for a little under $10,000. That's probably competing right now with the, I think, TriCaster Mini, which I think is about $7,000 or $8,000. So, but I think this one does more because it has better inputs. The Mini only has HDMI. This one has full SDI, which is pretty amazing for that size. And I am very impressed with the programming. Martin Sinclair is the owner and president of the company vMix, and he, I think, did the initial coding. He still may be one of the programmers. I don't know how many people are there. He's done an incredible job. It's a very good platform. It's got the best UI of all the other ones that I've seen. Very clean user interface and very readable, very functional, and it's fast. It works well. You've seen the video quality in some of the tests I did in the last week. Yeah. It's very clean. It's very clean. And I was using an X810, Canon X810 as my camera with an Intensity Pro card. It just worked like a champ. I also had a Logitech webcam on. I was playing videos, and just yesterday I was a little too tired to continue, But it's about 11 o'clock at night. I'm playing with picture-in-picture and setting up virtual sets, and it's pretty easy. It's pretty powerful. So
And it looks like to me, Rick. It's from seeing your videos. It's just one of those things. It's fun to use.
Yeah.
It looks the interface looks really nice, and that's the thing. Some things that are easy to use or what, but they don't look inviting. That screen looks ever so inviting, and once you set it up, quite easy to use.
And you're right. It is inviting. It's a pleasure to use it. It's you don't have to strain. There's not once I'm going, huh? What did I write? I can't read that. There's contrast. And it's funny. I've said this before, but I rate programmers around the world as Russians are probably my favorite in terms of they're very good programmers. Russian programmers are excellent. They're sharp. And I'll put in second Australian programmers. Kind of an odd thing. Most people don't picture Australians as programmers, but some of the best software I've ever worked on in the old days all came from Australia. Very good programming, and they all had great interfaces.
I think one of the things leads to get anything to market here, you've got to be over and above the norm, or else nobody will see you because there's such a sea of them everywhere else.
Yep.
You've got to, so the ones who aren't any good sort of go by the wayside.
Interesting.
But with that vMix, is it the standard sort of inputs that you do for Wirecast, or is there any special collection device you need for your cameras and that?
No, exactly the same. So, for example, if I have a Blackmagic Intensity Pro card, I plug into it, I'm in. If I have an SDI, let's say a Decklink card for SDIs, I'm in. An AJA card, I'm in. It doesn't care. It just, any resource you have, it just picks it up. They do one thing I liked, and this is something none of the other ones do that I know of. If I have a PowerPoint presentation, there's a PowerPoint input. So you input PowerPoint, you select your PowerPoint. And I did one the other day as a test. They brought in 16 slides, and then in the actual program out, all of a sudden you have two arrows, forward and back, and it can go forward and back to each individual slide. And if you change inputs back to a person talking, or you make it part of another, let's say 2 or 3 shots combined, anytime you come back to that shot, it remembers where you were. So you never have to.
That's the thing I really love with that vMix is because all the other, like the Wirecast, once you do something, you've got to, when it's finished, you've got to switch it back unless you put in a playlist. But that one, you just set it and say, when it's finished, it'll come back to me.
Well, no, there's some other things.
Well, no,
this is something none of the other ones have that I've seen, at least not to any extreme like this. TriCaster or any of them, this has triggers. So for example, at the end of a video, you can have it go to a certain place, do a certain thing, run a playlist, do multiple actions. And so at the end of every video, I say, go back to this screen or go back to that screen. Or I can, that thing that you can do with Wirecast now, where you can set up a quick playlist to show you with a lower third. And then in about 10 seconds or 5 seconds, you remove the lower third by showing another shot with you without a lower third. Well, that requires 2 shots. Well, in this case, you can just automate the whole thing. You can bring in the lower third from a different shot and get rid of it. You can do all sorts of stuff because they have a command language. For example, there's a shortcuts option within settings, and there must be over 300 or 400 options of what keys and what things you can do with those. So you can automate 120% of vMix with, let's say, for example, I have this here, which, let me go back to that. I have this thing here, if you can see it. This is my XKeys 55. Now, on the Mac, I'm not getting this to work well. It works, but it's extremely slow. The Mac just doesn't handle the key switching very well. And what that does is it allows me to have a controller that with one hand I can control the whole show. I don't have to do my mouse, anything for the most part. I can almost control 100% of a show. With Wirecast, not that easy. With vMix, very easy. Now you can do that with new tech also. You can control most of a show with like a launch pad or anything else that supports MIDI or macro type calls. Not macro as much as probably MIDI calls. And it does a great job. So for the price, and I'm looking at the 4K package for under $700. And
now, I was going to ask you that when you said with that price, is that just like buying the software outright, or is it a subscription?
No, it's your software. Now it's yours.
And then they say for the first year you get any upgrades. I think it is,
Yes,
isn't it, for
yeah.
that price?
Yeah, they're very, very decent. And what I like about them is they come up with updates and upgrades pretty often. Um,
Now,
s- mhm.
would you use the 4K, or would I'm just
I,
trying
I
to think
I
if I
wouldn't
was
use
going.
I wouldn't use the 4K now, but I like the ability to have it.
Hmm.
Um, and the difference in price was about $200-300 from the regular HD version. But the nice thing is, let's say you do have a 4K camera and you
Hmm.
down convert from the HDMI out. Now you have an HDMI output signal that's even better than your average 4K signal.
Oh, okay, yes.
So from that point of view, I think that's a really good thing.
So what I've been doing during the week, I've been trying to set up a little studio here in a room I've got, and in anticipation of either getting a Wirecast or the vMix, and I've been trying to set up so I've got a nice sounded area. So
And
now I'm
you almost need both. And the reason I say that is Wirecast does streaming better than anybody. They
yeah.
do streaming better than the TriCaster, better than vMix. They're very good at streaming, and you could stream multiple sources at one time, and they have better compression at this point. So that's, it's not bad. You can actually send your vMix right over to Wirecast, which then streams it. So you could
Well,
do
that's
something like that.
well, that's great, Rick, because that's just what I wanted to hear. A reason for me to buy both of them.
Yeah, that's a good reason too. And some of the things you can do with Wirecast are easier than vMix. In other words, setting up a show is probably a little quicker because of the nature of the way they do layers and everything. But vMix is no slouch. I mean, I really enjoy the way they organized it and made it look. I wish Wirecast had an interface that nice. It doesn't. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is you can do a lot of the things in Wirecast, but that vMix does look quite an inviting one on there. And I do like those triggers that you said on there. But that's sort of giving it the edge as well for it.
Well, yeah, those triggers are nice. I mean, all of a sudden you've got the ability to do some pretty complex jumps. You could literally start. They also have playlists. You could actually run a playlist. You can run triggers that run many playlists. So let's say you are streaming out to the internet, and let's say your channel is jeffblanchard.com, and you want to stream out 24/7 your content. You could easily with that without really working a lot. You could do it with Wirecast too. They both could do it. And so you could have nonstop streaming of your content all day, every day. And then you would take over the world, but that's a different issue. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we must be going too long today because Liv is getting tired now. So
Uh-oh.
it'll be over midnight there in Belgium, I think.
Oh,
I'm
we
sure it
probably
will
have
be.
gone
So,
on too long.
so
Well,
I'll say good night to Liv. Good night, Leva.
good night, Leva, and we will see you next time. And then we have Donna Gilliland and Gina Schreck have both agreed to come on at different times. Donna is wonderful. I've interviewed Donna 2 or 3 times. She's a good gal. She knows a lot of stuff, and she'll probably talk a little bit about office technology and tech and all sorts of stuff. She does a lot of work for small and large businesses in helping them make better use of their tech. So she'll be fun to have on and talk with her. She's a really nice lady. And of course, Gina, we all know and love Gina. So she'll be fun when she comes on. And I think we're going to do a Christmas special with her on what to buy last moment when you're too lazy to buy it early. That could
Gina
be.
Shriek's not going to come and visit.
No,
as
no,
well,
no.
is she?
Gina Shriek is gone. It's gone for good. I think Gina was actually killed in another dimension, but I'm Gina Shriek, that is. But I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
that's all right.
I think she will never be back.
I just thought she might make a special Christmas show of
No,
it.
no. That would be more like the evil ghost from Christmas Eve. But no, we're not doing that. If you're curious as to who Gina Shriek is, you need to go watch Shrek Tech episode 50. Shrek Tech episode 50. It's on RELATECASTS, and I didn't send you.
And I
Good
think
luck.
it's about 2 or 3 minutes into the show, so it's not far into the show to
No,
find
no,
it.
and there are some outtakes at the end of the show.
The
But
end, yes.
Gina Shriek, yes. Yeah. I'll probably never live that down, but that's okay. Anyway, Jeff, it's always a pleasure. We go through a lot of stuff in a not very long time, and we can keep going. That's the problem. We can go for a long time.
That's right. But that's the thing I've got from was watching Tom's show before here, catching up on his Streaming Idiot show, and that's the thing is it's quite interesting just to see what people do themselves.
Yep.
You see a lot of what all what you're supposed to do, but you want to see what people are actually doing. So that's why
Sure.
we can keep talking for hours.
Yep, it's fun. It's fun. Well, Jeff, it's always a pleasure. And if you're in the chat room, I think we had one person in the chat room today. She went to bed. Didn't have anything to do with us. Honestly, we didn't bore her. It's late her time.
No.
And if you are watching the recordings, please subscribe. Let us know what you think, and give us your feedback. I know the viewership is starting to get higher, so we're getting there slowly but surely.
Oh, right.
I know we had over
100.
Thank you
for watching.
Yeah, thank you very much for watching. And we had over 100 alone on Tom last week, and that's still coming in. So it's a good deal, and more coming. We're looking for the thousands, and I know we can do it. It'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you guys next week. Take care. Oh, and when we may see you next week, but it is Thanksgiving over here, so in case we don't, I think we can probably come on next Friday. I mean, I'm good with it.
I know Tom's show. He's not doing it because he's visiting family for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but I think we're okay. I think if you want to do it, I'm game next Friday.
I'm here, but just let me know. That's
all right,
fine.
That sounds good. But for all those of you who can't make it, you've got family, we understand, and we hope you enjoy and have a wonderful Thanksgiving over here stateside. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.